Hello, welcome back to the lobby, GameSpot's weekly hangout. It'll be Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on GameSpot.com. I'm your host, Danny O'Dwyer. How you doing? It's been a while. That E3 thing happened, then we took a week off. Turns out not much happened in the world of video games anyway, unless you're a Destiny fan, which is why we've got Eric Tay and Alex Newhouse, two fans of Destiny. Eric, lovely to see you wearing a shirt today.
Oh, thanks.
You must have known you were coming on to talk about all the stuff that's happened with Destiny. And there's been a lot of stuff happening over the past couple of weeks. There was that whole collector's edition furore. There was the backlash to the Eurogamer interview at E3. And now, as it turns out, if you're a fan of Red Bull, they've got something for you there as well. You two guys have like different perspectives on a lot of this stuff. First of all, how much Destiny have you guys actually played? Eric, how many characters do you have?
I have 334s,
and
I just finished that. So I have a lot of hours. I don't want to talk about it. It's like wow, you don't want to know. You never look at how many hours you played.
/played?
Yeah, you don't do that.
Figure it out. All right, Alex, what about you?
I have 134 and 131.
Okay.
Not as much as him. Still over 120 hours played in Destiny.
So from that, I can calculate you've probably done. All right, it's been a while. Fair enough. So you're obviously big fans of the game, both of you. Differing opinions on, let's say, the collector's edition thing, first of all. So, Alex, what's your take on what they've done? So for those who don't know, what happened with this? Talk about the pricing and how it eventually ended up coming out.
So when Bungie, the developer of Destiny, announced their new expansion for the game, they said that they're going to sell this expansion in two different forms. First, you can buy it standalone, or you can buy it in like a pack that comes with the game, the first two expansions, and the new expansion.
It's kind of par for the course.
Yeah. And so so you could also get the collector's edition, which is that bundle with some extra stuff. And that extra stuff is the problem here. That extra stuff was originally exclusive to the collector's edition. You had to pay $80 to get both the base game and the 3 expansions, and then also to get those in-game items. And so players who already have already been playing Destiny, like Eric and I, we were pretty frustrated about that. We wanted those in-game items. We thought that we should be able to get those without having to pay $80 for the base game that we already own.
Yeah, and 2 expansion packs presumably had already bought.
Yeah.
And then the Taken King, which I guess you guys will be purchasing. So the backlash was that you were essentially having to dump $80 to get that little piece of content, as well obviously as the Taken King and everything else. So this is the way Bungie clearly are trying to like get people up to speed, like new players into the game. So the eventual, I guess, end to this story, or as we have it now, is that you can just buy that for 20 quid, right?
Yeah, so you can buy the new expansion for $40, and then you can also pay an additional $20 to get that, like a pack of all that content, which is 3 emotes, 3 class items, and 3 shaders.
All right, so Tay, what are those pieces of content? Are they like gameplay changing? Are they just...
They're vanity, purely vanity. I would say maybe you can argue that the class armors, the way they work now, is they give you slight bonuses to leveling up your gun faster. But that kind of stuff doesn't influence or affect the gameplay. And that's the biggest thing for me, because people will say, oh, it's like a microtransaction almost. Yeah, kind of, but you spending the extra $20, it's like maybe you think you look cooler. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's about it. Like, you're not gaining any type of power or some type of lead ahead of someone else.
It's not a new weapon.
Yeah,
you're
not gaining anything too crazy.
Okay.
I think the collector's, the hard copy one, does have some guns in it, but it's not going to be better, that much better than anything else. They're all pretty similar. So
you're kind of okay with it.
I'm totally okay with it.
It's not like Stockholm syndrome, but you got that. It's just vanity stuff. It's on the face of it. It's like getting skins for a character in Dota or something like that.
I think...
Or League of Legends, right?
I definitely had more of a problem when it was $80.
Yeah.
For everything, because then it kind of I get why everyone's mad. It's oh, so I guess everything we bought before was $20 worth, in theory. But now, the moment it happened, I told Alex, I was like, oh, we're getting it at 50% off now. It's $20. I'll totally buy it. But But that's me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm willing to spend the $20 for those shaders and stuff like that. Not everybody's like that, but again, it doesn't affect the game, so whatever.
So Alex, you obviously don't agree with
Yeah,
that
so
perspective.
I actually look at this differently. The way I look at it as, the pack that they were selling for $80 with the base game and the 3 expansions and all these items, you can break it up now basically into, okay, the Taken King expansion is being sold for $40.
Okay.
The base game and the first 2 expansions are now being sold for $20 because you have that extra pack also for $20.
Which you can
with
buy
the
for
in-game
$20, yeah.
Yeah, so what Eric just hinted at is like, now I feel like my previous purchases that I've already spent $100 on is now just valued at $20. And this, I understand, having been a day one player, that games are going to depreciate in value, but Destiny's a unique situation in that it's still a very active game and, still has a huge player base and they're obviously still supporting it.
It's less than a year old.
Yeah, exactly. So as a player who's put over 120 hours into this game, I want to feel like my value is being recognized by Bungie. I want to feel like, Bungie is recognizing me as a person who's dedicated my time to this, and them saying that they expect us to still pay $20 for this in-game content, and then that they're equating that content value-wise with the original base game and the first 2 expansions seems a bit ridiculous to me.
So is this a problem for you guys going forward as players? Because presumably, they said this is their 10-year game. They're going to keep doing this or releasing. Destiny 2 will eventually come out and they'll do the same thing. For you guys, like obviously, a lot of people, sit 6 months off of the new release schedule so they can save a bunch of cash on games and still have a good time. Is that possible if you're a Destiny player? Can you just not buy into this stuff day one and still have a good time, or are you kind of locked into their content release? Because the problem Destiny had at the start was that there wasn't really that much stuff to do, which is why people are so thirsty for these expansion packs. So like, Eric, do you think like you have an option not to buy this stuff? Or is that really, if you're a real Destiny player, are you sort of locked in? You like have to do it, kind of like World of Warcraft?
Yeah, I think if you're playing Destiny and you're consistently playing Destiny, it's hard to not buy the new content because like you said, we're kind of starving for the content because like even with House of Wolves, as we had discussed before, I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to last a good 4-ish weeks, maybe 6 weeks, and it's kind of done that. Like I've dropped off again. I still play once or twice a week because of my friends. I might play a little bit more, but less, right?
Yeah.
And so basically, it's just like, well, when's the next one coming out? Now everyone's juiced because in 2 months I'll get to play Taken King, and that should supposedly be a little bit bigger than just your normal DLC expansion pack, but who knows how much bigger, but they're making it seem at least like within almost like, somewhere in that territory of 1 to 2 or maybe 2 if we're lucky, but we have like, you just kind of have to buy into it if you want it. But if you're more casual, Bungie has done a good job in the sense that they do let players that don't buy into it still kind of participate in small ways, kind of like to get you to want to buy it, right? Like they leave all these little breadcrumbs of like, oh, here, why don't you participate in these like little events, and then kind of hope that sparks you into buying the next piece of content.
Does it split the user base though? Do you think like there's content that obviously like high level players who are playing with their buddies will want to play, and then like if Alex, if like whoever you raid with, like 2 of your friends or whatever, decided like they were going to get the pack, you'd feel compelled to get it as well, right? Because you can't play with them anymore.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Eric's totally right. You do feel compelled if you're a consistent player of Destiny to buy the content, and I actually think that results in a less split player base than other games that have DLC drops, because it is such. In a lot of ways, it is such an essential part of the Destiny experience to have that extra content. And this is another reason why I don't really like what they're doing with the $20 pack of in-game content is, because they are in a sense bundling all of that original content together in a $60 price, which to me seems like that is clearly the better deal here. Like you're getting, like one of the big criticisms of Destiny was that it was kind of, light on content. Yeah. People are starved for content. And so by bundling all that together, you actually have an experience that is worth it. But then, Bungie is still saying to players who have been paying for it along the way that, hey, we know that you love Destiny, so we're going to give you this option that we know you're going to buy because you want that content anyways, and so you're going to pay that $20 for that.
So isn't this going to continue to be a problem? Because, like, okay, both of you clearly love it. Like, you've played about 130 hours and change. God knows how many, like, probably like 300 hours or something like that, right?
Probably, I wouldn't be surprised.
Getting right there. So clearly, like, if we're going to talk about this as a value proposition, you guys probably feel like you've gotten value out of it. But if we like break it down, so what? Destiny original game on release, $60.
60.
First expansion pack, 20.
They're both 20 unless you bought the season pass, which then made it 35.
35. Okay, so let's, for the sake of argument, we'll say $100 for the 2 of them, right? Then the Taken King is another $40 bucks. So that means in the first year you're going to spend $140 on like. Activision clearly learned this from World of Warcraft, from what Blizzard did when that they merged and they ended up like being involved as business partners. But like Burning Crusade was $40. It came out I think 2 years after the release of WoW. It was in 06, and man, like whole new area, like flying mounts, the battleground stuff they added, 2 new races. Like, do you guys feel like you're being nickeled and dimed on Destiny?
So the difference is, like, you bring up a good point. Like, you look at the overall cost of like Destiny for the whole year, assuming you buy Taken King. But I look at it too as like, okay, if you bought WoW and you played for a year, guess what? You're still spending over $140 because remember, it's a subscription game. So it's $60 and $15 a month. So at the end of the day, if your 1 year of WoW is still more expensive than my 1 year of Destiny. And like, granted, yes, you're right. In terms of like the world, like World of Warcraft is bigger, but it's set because it's an MMORPG. Anyone who thinks Destiny is an MMORPG is crazy. It has elements of that, but. Like for me, like you said, value-wise, like I've gotten my bang for my buck out of it. And like again, I just want to reiterate that the $20, nobody has to spend that $20 on it. It's just there for vanity. But yeah.
I mean, this is also where I differ from Eric in that I'm coming at this from like a more of like a first-person shooter perspective, where I'm used to getting a $60 experience that is, you know, cohesive, that is, there's a lot of bang for your buck in that package. And so coming to this, where it's more like a platform where they're building upon it every couple months, and you're expected to pay for that more like an MMO, I'm very unused to that, and I very much feel like I'm being nickeled and dimed a lot of the time. And the nature of Destiny is that because you're starved for content, you're always looking for more content, even if that content comes in the form of emotes and shaders.
Right.
But it's also different too, though, like because like yes, you come from a Halo background or whatever, like. Their DLC is like, oh, here's new multiplayer maps. Whereas with Destiny, it's like, here's new multiplayer, but here's new single-player content
too. But in Halo, you never felt like Destiny feels like there's fucking nothing going on half the time. Like, it's great that you're playing with all your buddies, but you are replaying the same stuff. From like, I'm not a Destiny person, so I can't really speak to it. But just like listening to you guys talking about it, it seems like there's a lot of repetition. Whereas even when you're playing Halo like 3 a year later, there was so much shit in that game. There was so much to do that you kind of didn't really feel repetitive at any stage.
Exactly, and that's why you see people, you know, at E3, for example, going crazy for the armor shader they were getting out there, is because anything that's new in that game is so coveted that it drives people to pay money for things that otherwise in other games they probably wouldn't. And that's the biggest problem I have with this.
Eric?
It's a change in the tide of games. It's just, I mean,
like for better or for worse.
Yeah, for better or for worse. Like, I understand it, I get it. I can also understand why people are upset about it. And like, there's frustrations with it, obviously, but that's just kind of the trend of where games are going right now. It's all like, can we make a good, decent, solid foundation of a game, and then how do we get more money out of people? And like, sadly, that's just where it is. It's just, are you gonna spend the money or not? Like, you don't have to. At the end of the day, if you enjoy playing it and you get your value out of it, like I do, then it's great, right? But it's not for everybody. Like, I get it. I totally understand.
It's a divisive issue. I think if this is their 10-year plan, then we're probably going to be talking about this for quite a while in the coming years. Let us know what you think, of course, in the comments below. Do you play Destiny? Have you spent $140 or $100 and willing to spend another $40? Or do you feel like you're being nickeled and dined by Activision as well? Let us know below. We've got loads more coming up today on the lobby. We're going to talk about Fallout 4 in a little bit. We're going to talk about Batman Arkham Knight. We actually haven't had a chance to talk to Kevin since his review went up. Pissed off some people. So we're going to get him on to talk about that. But first off, we have a new announcement trailer. Game's still coming out. This is The Villain. Check it out. Some more stuff. Cool. What a wonderful E3 it was, and one of my favorite announcements, and many of yours, was finally seeing some hot Fallout 4 nonsense. It looks pretty great. It's coming out this year, and it's got a bunch of new features that we've been asking for in the series for a long time. Justin Haywald, Andrew Bauman are here, both fans of the series. We're here to talk about some other stuff that we'd like to see in the game coming up later this year. First of all, though, they added a bunch of stuff that we already got Like they added a bunch of stuff that we already wanted, like better shooting and stuff. Justin, what did you think about what they showed of Fallout 4?
It's everything that you want. I mean, it's one of those just big world games. It's the reveal of it is itself just so exciting. Even though we knew it was going to be in Boston, like the fact that opens up those more possibilities for like what are these people going to be like? What's this world going to be like? Because even though it's still in America, it's still this post-apocalyptic wasteland, and like it's going to be new characters. It's going to be like a whole new setting, a whole new, basically a world to explore. And that's one of the things that I think I'd really like to see more of in Fallout 4 is like we know that there are all these different vaults, that they have all these different experiments. And one thing that I think was Obsidian with Oblivion that they did really well is
with New Vegas.
New Vegas?
With the Oblivion series is like I was talking with you about this earlier, is that you have all this lore and things that you're able to explore, and one of them are the books. Like I love getting books and reading through and like being immersed in this world, but I don't like actually doing it on my TV screen. So like I downloaded this Kindle version of all of the books in the game.
That's so good.
And I'd love to be able to do something like that in Fallout, like because there is so now, like it's an even more expanded universe. There's so much more going on in the world. Like I love exploring that outside of the game and like getting that sent to me either on my Kindle or my phone.
Yeah, I like that because it's like Bethesda put so much time into crafting these worlds and having all this text, and it kind of doesn't really feel like the right time to read it. Like even I'm playing The Witcher at the moment. I played a bunch over the weekend, and like taking time to even read one of those books, as somebody who read some of the books, it's like a really nice little pastime, and it doesn't feel like the right place to do it. So
you want it to be a part of the game as well. One problem I think Destiny has is that almost all of that story is buried outside of the game. Like you have to go outside to even have a modicum of understanding of what's going on. Whereas the Fallout games, the Oblivion games, those have always been contained. You know what's going on, but they add color, they add a richness to the world that makes it even more fun to explore.
Andy, one of the things, obviously Justin touched upon Obsidian there, and you're a big fan of New Vegas.
Yeah.
One of the things you were talking about before we went on was the faction element of that, which I'd actually completely forgotten about. That stuff wasn't in Fallout 3, and in New Vegas, Obsidian sort of played around with that and had you picking which faction for that crazy fight at the end. I actually only completed New Vegas about 2 weeks ago, finally. I like loaded up my save game and fucked up the Great Khans pretty bad. You'd like to see that come on into Fallout 4?
Yeah, because the karma system's always been in Fallout games. It's been a huge, thing since the beginning. But the faction reputations came in Fallout 2, and then they were kind of gone in Fallout 3. They're back in New Vegas, and you're like, yeah, it gives you the opportunity to do quests for those factions, go through those storylines, get deeper into the backstory of, characters and elements there, which, Bethesda's really strong at doing that because they do it in Skyrim, they do it in their Oblivion games where you do the Black Hand missions and they're freaking deep as hell and they're awesome. And that's like its own game. You do the Thieves Guild mission. You want to do all the guild missions and stuff because they're just so rich and you get like rewarded, you get reputation, you get new abilities and armor sets.
Yeah, because like
and this is all like kind of missing in Fallout 3 in a way it was.
You had your main quest, and then you had like the side quests were actually rather
good,
small.
but
I feel like the only like large ones were like the Brotherhood of Steel one.
Right, and that was like a good faction one, but it also had like end game. It had like game overall tie-in, so that you had to do it. But yeah, in New Vegas certainly you could do like all the little factions, and depending on how far you got and what you did, like really affected the outcome of the entire game. But you also got to know those storylines really well. So that's something I think they're missing. I mean, besides all the other stuff they added at E3, where like, you've got the second screen experience with Pip-Boy, you've got the freaking crafting system they're showing right now. Like, all this shit is already like, we didn't ask for this, but it's,
I feel like that stuff was like murmured. I feel like increased crafting was something a lot of people talked about. I feel like that and actual good first-person shooting.
Right,
and like you're a massive fan of FPSs, but that was always a problem.
It was always a problem, and New Vegas did add aim-down sights, which made it like cool to like use some of the guns that you could.
It kind of also like highlighted how shitty those guns.
And it definitely highlighted how shitty it was. And you get the cinematic like kill cam and stuff, which was cool. So I hope they bring all that over. Honestly, like the list of stuff I came up with, the stuff they added for New Vegas that I hope they carry over, like the hardcore mode, where you have to sleep, eat. You have to get your limbs repaired by doctors. You only partially heal them. Like it's not that hard. It's not that hard. No, it ended up not being that bad in the grand scheme. Like you can just sleep and eat, and it's all good. But it's kind of fun. Some stuff I think they should add in.
The cooking stuff was in New Vegas as well.
Yeah.
That was
they got all that. So here's some things.
Go for it.
From the other games, I think they should bring back that I think a lot of people will hate.
Okay.
So the first game had a hardcore time pressure
from the very first quest.
Yes.
You had to find the water chip or else your vault was going to die, which was pretty awesome, actually, because, like, you had to, like, get on with it. You had to role play. You had to freaking do it. You had, like, a fire under your ass to go get shit done.
Yeah, do you ever feel that way in The Witcher where you're kind of like,
Yeah, well, we were
you know,
talking
like,
about this.
I should probably be helping
We were just
Siri.
meditating, like, to get our merchant to, like, replenish his gold stash, and we were like, what if Siri's, like, dying out there and, like, she's
you're
slowly,
always
like, begging for help?
You're always
and
like a
just
day behind her, but then you're like, I just spent like 5 days on this werewolf quest. I probably should have just.
I just, like, meditated for a year so I could, like, sell my sword for full price.
When I started out The Witcher, like when you get past that first area, I was like,
Yeah.
you know, I have stuff going on, but I guess I'm just going to get in a boat and sail over to that city, see what's going on.
So, like, the great part about Fallout 1 was it was like Act 1 was time pressure, but then Act 2 opened up and you could actually do it. It was pretty short. In the first version of the game, you could actually lose the game again by failing the clock, but in version like 1.1, they updated it to be like 13 game years before you actually die.
Oh, really?
So if they had something cool like that, where Fallout 4 was like, I don't know, 50 game years, and then you're fucked, like that would be amazing. One thing in Fallout 2, drug addiction.
Really? Well, you can get addicted.
You can
in
get addicted in 3.
I'm not sure if you got addicted or if it just
Drained
negative
your
effects,
health,
didn't it?
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
didn't
So
use it.
I want to bring back like jet usage because like if you're in a fight in the early game, you had to like boost, and you're like, all I have is jet. Oh god, like here we go, and then you're like an addict, and you have to go through all this to get out of it. Yeah. Oh, one thing that Bethesda's great at that I hope, and we kind of don't know, cool actors playing a big role.
Oh yeah.
Liam Neeson's as the freaking dad in Fallout 3.
now
Matthew Perry was in New Vegas.
Yeah, he
Who's
was
gonna be
a
in
massive
4?
Fallout fan as well. That's why he got
Yeah.
involved in the project. I wonder now, because they've announced the voice actors, I wonder...
Have they? Oh shit, I didn't
I
look.
think so, yeah. I saw some people on Twitter said that that's who they were, but they were kind of relatively unknown actors in the LA area. So you never know. Maybe they've got a bigger voice talent crew, which
Hidden.
is going to...
We need like a secret one, like a big cameo. I
Morgan,
guess Skyrim-
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. Did Skyrim have like a notable? I don't know if it did,
Yeah,
but you know.
the dragon was played by fucking
Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart.
No, that was Oblivion. Patrick Stewart was.
Oh, you're right. Oh
Yeah.
god, I totally forgot about that.
So that's what I'm talking about. All right, that's all I have to say about Fallout 4.
I kind of think like it's from playing The Witcher. I think is where I've like pulled a lot of my like inspiration. Like I'd love a horse. Like
Oh, dude,
we've
yeah.
already seen. I feel like horses in open world games is almost like a one and done. Like it kind of works. We've seen the like this massive airship. We've seen the vertibirds are now pilotable. Or at least you can
Or at
get
least
in them.
they drive you around.
Yeah, we don't know if you're able to drive them yourself. So, like, imagine if you could finally get cars working.
And there's like this super weapon that maybe you aim at stuff, maybe, or that's part of a quest. Who knows?
Maybe that's just Megaton
Yeah.
revisited.
Who knows?
But the other thing I kind of wouldn't mind from Fallout is that I guess this is probably just a byproduct of the fact that New Vegas is now back in 2009, I think it came out.
Oh, gosh.
Is that the quests in that game, Justin, there was the main quest and then there was like the side quests were kind of these relatively small diversions, like you talked about going into the crazy little vaults and like meeting somebody and they didn't really go on. The thing in The Witcher is that I've done side quests which have ended in 5 minutes, and I've done side quests which have gone on for like 3 hours. That sort of variety, that'll be like where you don't really know what's the main quest anymore. I think would be really fun.
So, and that's the thing that fits, I think, that Fallout feeling more as well, that you are just kind of exploring this wasteland. Like there shouldn't be a single narrative. Like everyone's experience should be different no matter when you start or when you finish playing. And like maybe you'll just feel like, oh, I came to for me, that was a good ending point. Like maybe I won't necessarily find and solve every quest and get every puzzle.
Yeah.
I was just exploring this world, and that's what I got out of it. They've already added one thing that I would have always wanted, which is an amazing dog who will not die. Dogs in games, they should have all of them.
There's a dog in 3. It just wasn't.
Dog
Not
meat?
as-
Yeah.
Yeah, he could also die. Apparently this
Yeah.
one can't die, which
Oh,
is the
thank
No, I
way.
want invincible dogs.
Yeah,
like in
because
real
you
life.
don't want dead dogs.
Yeah.
Dude, the only
It's too sad.
reason to get the dog in these games is to just put your fat boy and like all of your heavy weapon shit that you'll only ever use when some badness comes down, and just give it to Fox.
Hey, boy.
And then whenever
Let's
it goes
trade.
wrong, just call him over and they'll be like, yeah, okay.
Hey boy, let's trade. And then it goes into
yeah. Trade was one of the buttons.
Yeah.
Last thing to add, have it so you can play once the game is finished. Because they
Right.
fucked this twice. They had it in Fallout 3, which they patched it out
Yeah.
eventually. But New Vegas was the same thing. I completed New Vegas, and it tells you the story of the wasteland, and they're like,
and then you're done.
here's the credits. Todd Howard and all.
I mean, the big criticism with Fallout 3 was the mainline quest was kind of meh.
Yeah.
And then like everything else was amazing. So yeah, if they can pull from The Witcher and just say like, look, here's how you do freaking quest structure, like quest structure 2015. Like,
Well, what if they pull from The Witcher something like Gwent? Like you have a different game that's going to be part of the Fallout universe.
All right.
It's going to be a collectible card game. It's also going to be a part of its own app. It's a separate thing that you
like
play.
Fallout Shelter.
If you tell me that Gwent is actually exactly the same in Fallout 4 and all my stuff will carry over, then I'm definitely in. One last thing to talk about in relation to Fallout. I've spent most of the past week sitting on the toilet playing Fallout Shelter. Are you guys still playing?
No, I picked it up at like right when it came out at E3 to like capture some gameplay, and I was half distracted. I think this is the shitty gameplay I captured, and like too many things happening. I was like, I can't deal with this game right now.
I love the way it
And
looks.
it's so fucking cartoony. This isn't Fallout. Come on.
Oh,
no,
man, I
it
love
looks great. Like that art style, the way it shifts when you move it is like giving that fake 3D look.
Yeah, it's
But
kinda
I
cool.
feel like the more I play, it doesn't really change. Like I'm still just kind of doing the same thing over and over. It's just time management at that point. Like, this is kind of like real life boring. I do management things already.
I've got 45 people in mine at the moment. I had a real bad time there for a while when nothing was working, and I had to like spend a good like 2 hours just stopping everyone from being infected with radiation because the water wasn't working. But now it's like grown up, and there's this thing where you can send them out to the wasteland.
Yeah, so this sounds cool. I didn't get to this.
It's cool, but if you don't recall them, they're like I send them out with like loads of stim packs, and they basically pick up a shitload of guns and like.
Well, that's how you get all your equipment, guns and outfits for your characters.
And outfits are the best because they give you perks. I didn't realize for the longest time that they gave you perks, so I was just like holding on to them doing nothing. But my guys always die, so I end up just sending them out, paying their like revive fee, and then getting them to come back again. Just like waiting to see how much they get before they die, and then pulling them back in. But all this stuff, all like the training centers, it kind of takes a long time to like put people into these rooms and make them grow in charm and luck and all that sort of stuff. But you're right, it kind of feels like it doesn't really have an end. So what an end it would be if this shit pulled into Fallout 4 at the end.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
I mean, games have tried that, right? Like doing side games on like Xbox Live, where it's like, oh, but all your money carries over to Fable, whatever game that was.
Oh yeah.
Or what if this made an outpost? Like you could find whatever vault you made.
Vault
and you could do-
420's out there?
I think Vault 420 probably already exists.
I have a family in there called the Newtons, and I've named every one of their child's Fig. So I love the idea that like I'll just turn like they don't even tell you, but like your vault somewhere, like they tie it to the phone, and then your vault is somewhere there, and I walk in, and it's like that Gary one where everyone's like Gary, everyone's called, except they're all called Fig Newton, and they're all infected. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep playing a little bit longer and see if they keep updating it. It was definitely like a fun little game to play during E3 when you've got no time, when you're managing your own time.
When we're not busy anyway. So.
No, not at all.
Well, now there's nothing going on.
That's true. That's the best part. It's the best part of the year. You get to catch up on all your
go to
Witcher stuff.
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con
Witcher.
coming up, and I'm off to Gamescom pretty soon as well. Justin and Andy, thank you so much for coming on and talk about Fallout 4.
Dude, thanks for
And
having
We're
us,
going to be
man.
doing that a lot over the next coming weeks and months. We're going to get Kevin Van Orden in a second to talk about Batman Arkham Knight, but before that, here's a trailer for FIFA 16. I wonder if it's got Futsock and Lionel Messi and touching the ball and
Feel
shit.
the game.
16, we have used the latest cutting-edge technology to motion capture Lionel Messi's movement and bring his unique abilities to the game. He demonstrated to us how dribbling is about more than what you do with the ball. Sometimes the best touch can be the one you don't take.
Primero en la pierna, si es derecho, si es zurdo, después en la posición que está parado e intento siempre agarrarlo a contrapié para tener más posibilidad de sacar la ventaja.
Our new no-touch dribbling system allows you to emulate Messi's ability to feint and change direction while dribbling without touching the ball. Then once you've created the space to maneuver, you can exit using a new range of touches as players react to defenders' challenges, completely transforming 1v1 situations.
Cuando estás mano a mano siempre hay más espacio y es mucho más difícil para un defensor cuando tiene más espacio del delantero y más posibilidades de salirte para cualquier lado.
No-touch dribbling is a tool that all footballers can use, and just like in real life, better skilled players will be more effective at using it. As well as being a valuable new way to beat defenders, it allows you to let the ball roll, buying you the time to get your shot away or pick the killer pass. You'll be able to use it alongside a whole host of new features that create a more balanced and exciting game. Subscribe for future dev diaries and find out more about how we're innovating all over the pitch.
2014 was said to be the year for stumbling PC launches, but it seems like 2015 is following suit as well. Andy Bauman, Kevin Van Ord. We're here to talk about Batman Arkham Knight. Andy, I want to talk to you about the PC stuff in a little bit. But first of all, Kevin, we haven't actually had a chance to talk since the review went up. The review went up the week of E3.
Yeah,
we were rather
times.
busy. We gave it a 7 out of 10. Some people were displeased with that, to say the least.
A lot of people displeased, especially before the game actually came out.
Yes, that's true.
Wow, I was...
in the 5 days before anyone actually got a chance to play it.
I actually put this on my trilogy of reviews I've gotten the most hate for.
Oh, what are the other two?
So I think that... oh, God, what were the other...
Resi 6.
Too Human was one, and Resident Evil 6 was the other.
Wait, people gave shit to you for Batman, I think, Too Human?
A lot.
Wow.
So I would say that makes up my trilogy of stuff that, for whatever reason, I had the most amount of, brought directly to me on Twitter and an email and various things.
So let's break it in. Resident Evil was a total piece of shit, but what did you 4?
I give it a 4.5.
4. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
That sounds, I don't think time has
was a poor
proven you
game.
right on that one.
Yeah.
Too Human had, problems. Like, for instance, the 5 minutes it took for the Valkyrie to come down every time.
Well, that one was interesting. Number one, because the footage, which I didn't take, I wasn't playing the game on the footage. So some of the footage, the person who was playing it, there was a bunch. In the video review, there was a bunch of my armor not working.
Too Human here. We're checking out.
Too bad. And the other thing is Kevin Pereira did a video blog bashing my review.
Oh, really?
And that in turn led to one of Giant Bomb's early videos, which was a rap video that was basically them rapping to Kevin Pereira versus Kevin Van Ord.
Great.
And I mean, I've never even met Kevin Pereira or spoke with him, but it was quite the thing at the time. It was good times.
Then obviously this one, I think maybe the difference is that 7 out of 10 on GameSpot is a pretty great score.
It's good, yeah. I mean,
and you enjoyed the game.
I did, yes.
So what did you like, and what did you have exception with?
Well, the things I liked were the things that sort of carried over from Arkham City. Moving when you're not in the Batmobile, moving is one of the best things. In terms of just pure joy of movement, I don't think any game really gets it better than these games.
And you're a massive Assassin's Creed fan.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love Assassin's Creed, I would even say, at this stage, even I'm a little tired of Assassin's Creed, but for Batman, I don't think there's really any game that makes moving through a city more enjoyable than this. I mean, look at that. You're Batman. You're floating through the city, and then when you get the hook out and you're just thrusting yourself through the city, especially when I leveled up, that was one of the first things I was leveling up, to get that trilogy, hitting the button 3 times and launching yourself really fast. That's the good stuff. And of course the Predator rooms, where you're basically it's you and a bunch of dudes, and you get to use all your gadgets and your fists and whatever else is going on.
It's like a sort of a VR training type mini thing, is it?
Well, what I more mean, I mean, I guess there are some training, some AR things for Predators, but I mean just whenever the mission takes you to a place and you have to get rid of everybody, regardless of how you do it. Whether you beat them up, but sometimes you can't really do that because they've got guns, and you've just got to use your tools to your best ability. That stuff is really good, and the detecting stuff. My favorite stuff was the detective stuff. A few of those were just rote, the murder mysteries, more just you just do the same thing 4 times in a row kind of thing.
Well, I've not played Arkham Knight, but I've played the old ones, and a lot of what you're talking about sounds like stuff that they have. It's well-trodden ground. This is stuff they did really well in the old games.
Yeah, totally. And I still think that Arkham Asylum is one of the best games of this type ever made. It's not an open world game, obviously, but I still think it's one of the best, just action adventures, and what it brought was amazing. So, and I would say though that I think that Arkham City is pretty much the superior game to Arkham Knight. So some of it is, they've trod this ground before.
So before we get into the PC stuff, what were the things you sort of took exception with? I've been hearing the story isn't great, and the Batmobile stuff can get a bit trite as well.
One of that's the biggest for me. The biggest thing was the Batmobile, and I think that. Even now, I think that people that play this game can divide themselves into 2 camps, liking the Batmobile or not liking the Batmobile. Actually, driving the Batmobile, this stuff that you're seeing on the screen now is my favorite stuff with the Batmobile. When you get to speed along, when you get to actually be in the Batmobile and use it as a vehicle, the tank stuff, on the other hand, can get it's not so bad on its own, but the game really relies on it. So you, especially towards the end of the game, you're just doing all this tank stuff over and over again. It doesn't really evolve. You're doing the same basic thing from beginning of the game to the end of the game with that stuff. The other stuff too is the way that it's just shoehorned into every puzzle and every...
Like you have to use it?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff where you have to use the Batmobile, and it leads to some tedium. Like one of the first things you do is you have to get into a chemical plant, and you have to get it. Yeah, everybody loves a good crane puzzle in a video game, right? So you have to like use the crane to move the ramp, and then you have to go back and use the crane to move the ramp again. And then you have to use the crane to move the ramp again, and so it's just like a lot of that stuff. And to me, some of the puzzle stuff with the Batmobile just got really tedious, especially because you can see, like, hey, most of the time I should be able to grapple to that bit.
Right.
But now you're taking that away from me because you have a thing you want to do with the Batmobile, and that wasn't my proudest moment going there in the water. But
regardless of some of the things you didn't enjoy, 7 out of 10, great review, and you can read it on GameSpot.com right now. What I want to talk about is something that happened to Fallout afterwards. Obviously, you reviewed on PlayStation 4, is that right?
Fallout.
No, sorry, you reviewed
Batman
on.
Yeah, I totally reviewed Batman on PS4. That was the only version that we were given.
Yes, so the PC stuff sort of happened after the fact.
Yeah.
So as everyone's probably more than aware now, once the game came out, series of massive problems on the PC between performance issues and just crashing. One of the patches has already come out, and just to read some of the patch notes gives you an idea of just how bad some of the problems were. So what they fixed was support for frame rates above 30 frames per second. They put that into the graphics menu. Fix for low resolution texture bugs, improve overall performance, add more options to graphics settings, improvements to hard drive streaming and hitches, addresses to full screen rendering. There was a problem with NVIDIA's SLI. There was a problem with AMD Crossfire. And also they updated the drivers for both AMD and NVIDIA. So there's a lot of stuff. There's actually more on this list. You've been playing on PC, Andy. You and Mary actually were recording a GameSpot Plays just over here on Friday, and you actually encountered a bunch of bugs then and there, right?
Yeah, now that you say they fixed problems that have to do with SLI, maybe that was our main problem.
Oh, yeah?
Because we were running a triple SLI on that machine, and there was points where it just would hard crash every time. It was at a point where you like jump in the Batmobile in a certain mission, and it's like, and it just dumps.
Just crashed the desktop?
Yeah, and then once we turned off some settings, and there's like 3 or 4 NVIDIA settings, if anybody's seen it. That's like more fog and more papers flying on the streets. And it's like, it's not Hairworks, but same sort of deal. And when we turned those off, we got further in the game.
Yeah.
We got a little further.
And then it crashed again. Oh, really? And then here we are looking at the graphics and stuff.
And it looks good on PC, but you don't realize that you're actually missing textures until you compare it side by side.
When you compare it, suddenly it's like, why should the console version look better?
Yeah, why is there more detail on the brakes of the Batmobile? Why I've noticed a lot of panels that Batman like rips off stuff, has like no texture. His cape has like weird textures on the PC. Like it's all sort of there if you know what to look for.
So that's the weird thing. It's like there's almost like an ignorance is bliss here thing. It's like the internet age, suddenly you can't get away with having a shitty texture. Yeah, because there are like high res graphics comparisons up before you know what's going on.
Yeah, there you go. There we go. That was the recording of our progress. That's about what we saw like 5 or 6 times. But anyway, I've been running on the PC here at work too with only one graphics card, a 970, a GTX 970. Pretty good. And I even, this was pre-patch, I've been running at 60 because I like tweaked that INI file. It's like max frame rate 30. I just put it to like 150 and let it go. And it's been running really well. But actually, I think your score, Kevin, is a little generous. Like 7.
Really?
Because what you said is the best parts is the stuff that carries over from the original game.
Right.
And there isn't enough of that.
That screen's driving me crazy, by the way. Now that I'm
you know
seeing
the Batmobile
it, or
sucks.
look at the missing textures on the Batmobile there. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the stuff that carries over, there isn't enough. There's hardly any Predator moments.
Yeah, they really do take away a lot of stuff that I think is the best part of it. And, it's interesting because then people say to me, "Oh, then you would have been, complaining because it was just the same thing over and over again." Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what hypothetical game that Batman Arkham Knight without the Batmobile would have been.
And it's not like the Batmobile is broken. It doesn't.
No, it feels great.
Yeah, it feels fine. It's just do you really want to sit there in a Batman game, moving your tank every once in a while to dodge telegraph shots and then shoot? No.
Yeah.
Fuck no. I want to play against villains. That's what's so great about the first game. There's so many good villains. There's so many good really big levels you go through to get to the villain. It's set up like an episodic thing almost, and it's like awesome. And this one, it's like, oh, go find the penguin, and it's like one little building, and then you go punch the penguin, and then you run away. Like, what? There's like no villains. And then the Arkham Knight's not even a villain in the Batman universe. They made him up for this game. Like, everyone knows that.
But did they? And
let's
that's
not
another
get
thing.
into
Let's not get into that.
We're not gonna do that.
That kind of is stupid. It's like, well, it's not stupid, but whatever. It's like frustrating because I want to play a Batman game where I'm doing something with a Batman villain. And Arkham Knight is
most of the villains are just talking to you, like goading you and urging you on.
And Joker's like you're part of your imagination now.
Spoilers?
All right, I guess.
We probably should have given a spoiler warning, maybe.
I don't know. It's not like it's live.
But I do think that the story is a little bit of a problem in this game because the things that you're most supposed to care about, one of which is supposedly is the Arkham Knight's identity. The game foreshadows it so strongly for so long that by the time, like, there's no fun to the moment the mask comes off because you're like, whatever. Like, you already know what's coming, and that's the same for most of the story points for me. I mean, I've seen a lot of other people, complaining about how it used the Killing Joke in a very poor way and that kind of stuff. And I don't really have much of a feeling about that particular portion, but I do have feelings about other, other story stuff here, which is to say I was much more involved with. I still love the Arkham Asylum story a whole lot.
A great series that Rockstar have developed over the past.
Rocksteady.
Rocksteady. With help on one of them, but it's all wrapped up now. So it'll be great to see them work on something else.
There's a lot to like about the game, though.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's beautiful and it moves well. And but in the end, if somebody were to ask me, I'd say you just play Arkham City again. If you like that style, then just
buy it on Steam. And if it doesn't work, thankfully they've put in that new refund problem if it doesn't work. Once it's back on Steam, is it back up on Steam?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We haven't seen an official announcement.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out pretty soon. So that's it. Andy and Kevin, thank you so much for coming on.
Sure.
Talking Batman, one of the hottest games to come out this summertime. We've also got a little bit of a giveaway to talk about. Man, we got tripped VGUCon. You want to go to VGUCon?
Do I? You tell me. I've never heard of it.
It's VGUCon.
Oh,
you never heard of
it?
Sounds
Video
cool.
Game University?
Do I get...
yeah, that's what it should be called. VGUCon, Video Game University.
Is Freddie Wong there after he graduated high school? Now he's at
That's a good point. Is that show still running? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Regardless, GameSpot.com / there it is right there. It's really easy for me to read out. VGU -con -giveaway. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. GameSpot in partnership with Video Games United, giving away.
Video Gamers United.
Video Gamers United. We're all united. What football team, what soccer football team do you support?
Real Salt Lake, baby.
You son of a bitch.
People say Arsenal a lot when they talk about soccer.
Hey,
so
we
all support Video Gamers.
Video Games United.
All right, so check it out. You want to get over to that conference on in DC. Good old load of fun. It's the home of Fallout 4 as well, home of Bethesda Softworks, I believe. I think. They in Virginia?
Well, they're in Bethesda, Maryland, I think.
No, I don't think they actually are. Or maybe they started
on the East Coast.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought they were still in Bethesda.
Let's ask Gary Steinman, Bethesda's newest employee. And
that's a deep cut no one will get. GameSpot.com / VGU -con -giveaway. Or they'll probably tweet it. So just follow the GameSpot Twitter account and you'll see it right there. That's the lobby for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah,
pleasure.
Thanks to all our guests this week, and thanks to everyone in production. In the back, Eric Tay, well, he was out here for a while as well. Mary Kiss, Josh Shaw, Dan Mahorak, and everyone else who's helped with production. We'll be back next week. Until then, go play The Witcher 3 or Batman, or go play Destiny. Just stick it in your veins. We'll see you next week.
Are you getting it ready for Destiny?
I get